Hello everyone, this is Xia Taptara. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to draw a foreshortening pose. It's going to be a quick 2-minute drawing gesture, but then before that I'm just going to break down and explain to you how to draw a foreshortening pose. With the foreshortening pose, you need to know the perspective and how to break down things into a geometry form. Anyways, let's get right to it. If you have any question, post them down in the comment. And if you like the video, please click like. And if you want to subscribe, feel free. Alright guys, so here is a 1 or about 2 minute, I think 2 minutes gesture drawing. And it is a foreshortening. Initially it was this line here, and I didn't get enough time to refine it, but this is where you would start. Get the line as dynamic as you want. So basically what you have here, I start off with a very straight line that's coming forward, right? And usually if the section, say if the legs are usually like tapered down a bit, so this one is a little thinner than the top, but it's not that much different. So when you are coming forward, it's going to be slightly bigger than it is, because whatever is closer, that it is going to be larger than its actual size, so depending on the distance. So if you have like an object here, like a sphere, this is like, and this is perspective. So when you're doing a foreshortening, you have to know perspective. So that ball, if that sphere was on there, then this ball has to be bigger. And there's a way to measure this, like how you would measure the height from there to there, right? You have to find your vanishing point. But you don't have to, when you're doing a foreshortening, you don't have to get super duper accurate, but you could. There's a way to do it, I'm just saying. So when you have those construction line as dynamic, or as, how do you, like putting some force, right? Because without the force, this wouldn't look as dynamic, or as just kicking out. There are some poses that you are putting the arm across in the front, but they're not putting the force. But every time, if there are forces behind the object that's coming, then it's probably a better, it's a good idea to draw your line with a very forceful, like showing like a speed or velocity or something like that, just like the speed line in a comic book, right? But you have to get it into the form that fit with the figure or the character that you are drawing in your sequential art, or your illustration or concept or whatever. Usually concept art, well, yeah, if you're doing key shot, then they have pretty dynamic pose. So once you have a very accurate proportion to the rest of the figure, then you're gonna start coming in and adding a more detail. So don't start off with the detail right off the bat. That's not a very good idea. The better idea, for me at least, usually I will try to find the overall shape, proportion, and these are very important key. The shape and the proportion are the key to make a good and successful drawing or painting, before you start adding any more detail of muscle or anything like that. All those anatomy put aside for now. You have to get the accurate proportion and the accurate pose before you dive into adding more detail. And that's, I see a lot in like beginner artists. They're trying to add too much without checking the proportion or the accuracy of the width, the height, the length of the object. So, all right, so now Once I kind of get that, then I'm gonna find out where my body would be. So my torso is right here. If you look at the box, right, it's easier to see it in terms of a box because you know where the side is, front is, right? And then if you're getting more comfortable with finding, and the hips probably facing this way, and the legs coming out from there, right? But it's kind of cut off in that socket. So, but if you want to see the front of the hip and the bottom of the hip, because now you're going to see the bottom of her butt and the side and here. So this is twisted as if the straight was here, this is front. If it's really front, you won't see the side or the top, and then you're turning this way a bit, right? And then this one is turning this way, rotate, I mean. Yeah, but the more interesting thing is that the top part, you see the top part of the shoulder, but you see the bottom part of the butt. But this one, I just rotate the x-axis without doing anything to the y. Now, you're twisting to the right and twisting to the left. Your torso to the right, your pelvic to the left. But then what happened is she does the curve. If you look at a side view, it would be like this, right? So to translate that, you need the box A, let's say A and B, and then box B, right? But it's the opposite way, actually. Let's do it again, sorry. Okay, box A, box B. So your spine going like that. See what I mean? So she's curving, so her spine is curving right in the middle and then coming down here, and then that's the bottom and that's the top. And those are what, if you understand this, that's going to make a big difference in your drawing. Your drawing is going to look more three-dimensional, even though it's just stupid lines. But once you get this concept, your drawing will be a lot more dynamic. So that's just part that is not the foreshortening itself. You're going to have to notice subtle change, how the body structured, move. And to break the body down into two sections, it makes a lot of sense because you have the big skeleton, which is the rib cage and the collarbone. Then you have the pelvic bone, which is on the bottom. Now, to get to the foreshortening, you are going to, and the way I'll explain those boxes a little later. So now I am going to have to make this three-dimensional. So either this one's probably easier to kind of making the cylinder, right? If it's going this way a little more, then the plane of your circular plane will have a shorter range. Like if this is the front, then you're turning a little bit to the side, 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 to the side. This is actually a good practice. If you just practice, doing that, and then turn a little more, you can do a contour line along with it, right? Then as it moves to the left or to the right, you're gonna see, this is a little off, you're gonna see more length of the object. rather than the front face. So as you're turning this way, you're going to see the hole, right? So you're going to have to understand all this geometry shape to be able to do the foreshortening. This one, I might make it a little too thin, and probably coming a little more like this. Then you can put the foot, which I will add the box, and that will make it easier. So it's basically this box here, right? And then the fingers kind of come down a bit. You can also make that a box. And the way to draw the box is you can draw the box according to the perspective rather than the other one, which is isometric. The isometric is good when you're designing stuff, but if you want a isometric, is basically if you're doing perspective box, it's gonna look a little like, well, like we have the box here, right? Your box will look like that, and the head will be tapered. Depends on what direction, right? If this one is forward for front, then you'll be like that. You won't see the side, but as you turn to the side, this will go up a bit, and this will be wider, and that will be shorter. The front's always shorter. The closer always bigger. The further away always smaller. But if you're doing isometric, then everything, all the line will be even. Forgive my drawing. So this width would equal this width. That width would equal that width if it was a square box. All right. So where was I? Usually forgot. Okay, so here you have to find whether this plane is A, B, or C, or D. How forward or how foreshortening you want it to be. A would be super extreme, right? Then you come into here and then you start adding another loop. But since if it's tapered, if you're trying to find the geometry form or the real form, then you draw this, and then this will be a smaller circular, and then you come down and adding a more contour line down there. So you get this perspective, right? So just practice this and understand how to turn the object. Then you have an easier time trying to get the foreshortening. And the hands and the foot are pretty complex. You might want to look at the reference for those, but there's a way to do it also. If you break down the hand into box, depends on how extreme of the view it is. So you see the palm a little bit here, right? Then you add fingers, then you add, but then sometime in the comic book they want like pretty big bulky fingers. I had another foreshortening tutorial, which is a Scarlet Witch, I think, which has a pretty extreme finger and hand foreshortening. You can go and search for that one on YouTube also. And this one's also coming forward. So, and then you just clean up the line and add those whatever you want. But since it's a pretty quick gesture drawing, you have to be able to these are my concept or my thought behind the drawing every time I'm trying to do a quick gesture, right? Okay, you have to kind of see all that within your head, and you're trying to come up with just a line drawing. With or without the reference, you should be able to make it. And if it looks wrong, then you might as well start over and trying to make it look right. Don't go back. Usually I don't try to go back and fix the same thing over and over, because if you do that, then a lot of time you will get stuck to the loop. It become a loop. You might as well start a new thing maybe 10 more drawing, and then come back to the same one again, so you get a fresh thinking or fresh thought or fresh artwork or something like that. It's probably be better. And then the arm here, it is the same thing. You just kind of see which angle is it coming. Is it A, B, C, or D, right? And then there. And then on the torso that I explained earlier, and the head would kind of be the same thing as those torso. Just have to find the top of the head, the face, right? And then see how far it goes down and where the eye lines are and stuff. And all this will be shortening. Like if you look at the face here, that's a front, right? It should be right in the middle. Then if you bend down, then all this line will be right around the middle, and the rest will be shorter. Make sense? So yeah, hopefully this helps you in the foreshortening and how to construct your drawing, and how to, because without this thinking behind it, without perspective, or without the accuracy of your guesstimation or guessing and estimating, then you won't be able to make a pretty appealing perspective or very believable foreshortening of the figure. Alright guys, well, let's go take a look at how I draw this one. And yeah, if you like the video and like how I explain all this pose and stuff, then please feel free to click the like button. And if you want to subscribe, also feel free. And don't forget to go take a look at all the link I have below. There are ultimate digital painting tutorial, which include the drawing also. I'll be drawing the basic figure. Yeah, this is a plug, so I also want to promote my products. Alright guys, well, let's go see the drawing. Alright, so I start off with a blank canvas, start off with the torso, looking at which way it's turning, and then the biggest piece is probably her legs, and her legs coming forward. And as you can see, I draw just 2 lines to indicate the direction of where it's going. Then I slowly adding the section of her legs all the way to her hips. Then she has another legs that sitting as her knees is up and folding onto her upper legs or her thighs. So you see the bottom of it. And now the midline on the torso is breaking the body into half vertically, and then her chest on both sides. Then I just draw the hand that holding the balance on the floor. Now I'm just trying to add, the reason I start with the hand first, because I want to get the accurate position of where the actual hand is in relative to the feet or the legs. So everything, if you're drawing something, you have to notice where each part of the object is located, so that you can get them onto the right place, right? So the more accurate you are, the better the drawing. So now I'm adding the head, and the head, she's facing, she's tilting her head down a little bit, so you're gonna see a little bit of the top of her head. And as you can see, that cross mark on her face there are the eye line and the line that breaking the section of the face in half, relatively or roughly. Then I add her hairstyle and her eye socket. And as you can see, if the head is tilting down, as I explained to you, the face is gonna shrink into the shorter distance. Now we almost got everything. Start adding her ponytail or her bun. Then I'm trying to find where I could add the thicker line onto the figure. Usually I look for the place that are having more mass, like where the outer curve are. Those are going to have a more interesting shape when you have a thicker line on the outer curve. And I just add a little scribble to shade her hair, to put some value onto it. All right, we're almost done here. And I'm going to add a little more section from her forearm to her upper arm, and then I'm going to do the same thing to her legs. And I'm going to, if I have a little bit of time, this 2-minute pose, so I'm adding a little more detail on the finger and the hands. Not much time there, and there we go. Now we have it. So all right, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll put the link for the reference that I use, which is a YouTube video on the live drawing session that you can use. There's a model or everything that you can do. All right, guys. If you're interested in more drawing, go to my channel. There's a bunch of video on there. And if you want to go even further, then you can download to a digital painting or drawing, for that matters. You can go to my Gumroad or my cubebrush.co /Xia Taptara both, or just the link down below the video. You find the ultimate digital painting tutorial for beginners. I heard it's pretty good. It's got a lot of good review, volume 1 and volume 2. You can have that. All right, guys. Well, have a great day.